I was struggling with panic attacks like you wouldn't believe. I would have these spells, and there's a testimony in this, so this is not a depressing story for sure. And I think this is going to help a lot of people. And so I had a tremendous amount of things that I was dealing with. It all just came at me at once. And I had oil projects that were shut down due to Biden administration, the New York, Albany. They were enforcing laws that we had to adhere to, preventing us from getting permits. I mean, we had all these projects funded and we couldn't even get them drilled, and investors were getting upset. And I was not just dealing with that, but many, many other things. And the fruit of that was panic attacks. I've never had panic attacks. I'm a positive person. I believe in my own authority and all these things. And when the panic attack would come over me, it was fear like you wouldn't believe. It was a feeling like no way out. I literally felt my arms going numb. My teeth and my gums were numb. My tongue was numb. My heart would start to race. I got a watch, a Samsung watch. I don't remember what kind it was, but anyways, I knew when the panic attack was coming because my heart rate would go to levels like crazy. I don't remember what the beats per minute was, but I remember my wife took me to the ER because she thought I was having a heart attack. And the only thing I can do is turn off all the lights or go someplace and sit and wait for it to pass. Sometimes these panic attacks would take 30 or 40 minutes. And when I went to the ER, the doctor prescribed me medication for anxiety, and I refused to take it. I don't believe in numbing myself from pain because I think it prevents us from seeking God and finding a solution. And so I had my first panic attack March of 2023. I was on an airplane heading to Vegas with my two sons. And I was on this small little airplane, and all of a sudden my tongue began to swell and I couldn't breathe. And I was like freaking out. And then this thought came to my mind, what if I have a heart attack or something happens to me while I'm in the air? I need to get checked out. So I went to the stewardess and told her the issue. And she said, we'll get a paramedic to come check you out. And so the pilot was gracious enough to wait. And the whole plane waited for me. It was favor of God on that. And so anyways, I go out there, the paramedic checks me. I was like, you're fine. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on with me. And so I flew on the plane and I kept trying to find things that were wrong with me. Maybe I need to drink more water. Maybe I need this, maybe I need that, but I couldn't sleep. And even after I figured out that there were panic attacks, you still believe all the symptoms. Like, well, maybe I am having a heart attack. Maybe I have cancer. Maybe I have this, maybe I have that. The fear was so real. And so I always knew that panic attacks are coming on me because my arm would go numb. I'd feel tingling, all the symptoms of heart attacks, all the symptoms of just crazy things that are happening. I wasn't sleeping at all. I was getting hour, 2 hours of sleep a night. And so I remember a year later, March of 2024, I was sitting next to my swimming pool, crying out to Jesus, like desperate to be delivered from these panic attacks. And I had this vision of Abraham walking with his son Isaac to slay him. And sometimes the Lord gives me a vision, or you, where if you tell people your vision, they don't understand it. But I just understood what it meant. God was like, you have to walk through this, but on the other side, there's deliverance. And even though that there is a solution, that what you're walking through is not going to destroy you. It's the thought and the fear and the dread of what can happen. But ultimately, Abraham didn't have to sacrifice his son. He was asked to do something that was very hard, but he never even had to do it because God provided the sacrifice. Well, Jesus was that sacrifice. He went through the hard thing. We just have to get over the mental anguish of the fear of something bad happening, and we got to walk through it. But nothing actually bad happened. And so I had fear that I had cancer. I had fear that I was going to lose everything. I had fear that I was going to have a heart attack. I had all these fears going through my mind. And when you're going through that panic attack, your heart starts beating and you can't control it. You can't stop it. The tongue is going numb and you think, oh, it can't be healthy for your tongue to be numb for 3 days. You can't be healthy for your teeth and gums to be healthy for days. I mean, it's just crazy. And then your mind goes nuts. What happens if the blood is not where it needs to be? And so all that fear and anxiety, but I had to walk through that. And so the moment I had that vision, it all made sense. All of a sudden I went from being the passenger of an airplane with turbulence to being the pilot. And I could raise that plane higher above all the turbulence, above all the weather. And so all of a sudden I was in the pilot seat with authority. I had forgotten that I had authority over this thing the whole time. For God has given us the power to trample on scorpions and snakes. To trample means to have dominion, authority. We were given dominion over this earth. We were given dominion. No power of the enemy shall harm us. We were given authority over the enemy. So I said, in the name of Jesus, I started walking around my pool and I said, in the name of Jesus, I command you to go. And each time I said that, the enemy would rise up even more. Numbness would even become stronger. But as I kept saying it, as I kept walking around that pool, I made that decision. This is it. We're done. It ends today. As I kept saying it and walking around the pool, my numbness started to go. My heart stopped racing. And I kept doing it. I kept walking around the pool. And I kept rebuking it in the name of Jesus. I took authority over this thing. And my panic attacks stopped. That was March. My first panic attack was March 2023. And my last was March 2024. That was the last panic attack I had. And I haven't had one since because of the power of Jesus. You have authority over your finances. You have authority over your body. You've been given authority to speak as though it were. You've been given authority to fight the enemy. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. It's a principality battle in an unseen realm. The third dimension is written by the unseen realm. And if you want to change something in your third dimension, you're not going to get it done here. For we live not by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4 and Luke 4:4 say that. And what he means by that, for instance, in order to make bread, you have to harvest the seed. You have to plant the seed. You have to work the soils. You have to make sure that there's enough rain and sun and everything else. You got to fight the pests and everything. It's a fight to be a farmer. And then you got to harvest the wheat. And then you got to go through the whole process to make bread. That's a whole process that I don't understand, but it's difficult. It's not easy. But the Lord said, you don't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. In other words, you bypass the third dimension, everything you're supposed to do, and you receive straight from the source. The universe and the heavens and everything was created from his mouth. He spoke it into existence. He could speak everything you need into existence. The Centurion said, you know, my child he's sick, he's going to die. But you just say the word and he will be healed. Just one word from God. And all your needs are met. He said, I am the vine. You are the branches. If you abide in me and I abide in you, you'll bear much fruit. Apart from me, you could do nothing. See, the root is in the unseen realm, but it gives you everything you need. You're a branch unto a vine, and the branch only is fruitful if it's attached to its vine, its tree. But you detach a vine or you detach a branch from a healthy tree, it will die. It's going to die. So I just encourage you today, get out of the passenger seat of your life and get into the captain's chair. You are here, you are a king, you are a priest. Kings decree. Kings have authority over their kingdom. Your branch is a kingdom. God gave you authority over your branch. Your branch is a kingdom. Your household is a kingdom. Your house, your land, everything. And so be a king and decree and declare and speak. And if there's anything in your house or your kingdom, in your body, that you're not okay with, that you don't like, don't stay in fear. Take authority over it and deal with it. I think the biggest problem with everyone is that they rely on doctors. They rely on drugs. They believe the lie that there's no way out. But there is a truth for every lie. And today's truth is that you have authority over every unclean spirit, every sickness, every disease, panic attacks, fear, anxiety, physical things. I've seen financial breakthroughs. I've seen breakthroughs in business. I've seen breakthrough in unity and family. I've seen breakthrough in healing in my body, physical needs, spiritual needs, third dimensional needs, every need, everything can change. Everything can change. You can literally, Jesus said, if you have faith, you could speak to this mountain. To speak to a mountain and cast it into a sea means you are changing. You have authority to change the earth, that it's not in stone, that it's not unchangeable. This is a virtual reality. The third dimension is temporal. You got to step out of this Nintendo system and sit and take the remote control and take authority over your life. All right, guys, God bless.